Max is with us 5 minutes into the next hour, and we got Luke Radowski popping in with a big coup with Stephen Colbert. But this is a big deal. I mean, is the SEC basically run by Goldman Sachs being forced to do this because of the political pressure? Is it just a slap on the wrist? Will the investigation be used to cover all this up? But absolutely what Max said is true. This will open up more investigations. Are they trying to beat states that have been filing civil charges against Goldman Sachs? That happened 2 weeks ago, 2 different states in the last 2 weeks. We're going to find out here. But if they get away with committing these crimes out in the open with their own documents proving this was premeditated with the housing market, the sky is the limit. Max-Keiser.
Well, plus they're facing suits in Greece, Germany, and the UK. You remember in Greece in the year 2000, Goldman engineered a swap that allowed Greece to hide debt that made them eligible for the euro. Now Greece is in deep financial trouble. The IMF is imposing austerity measures. I've been on Greek radio many times and telling them that they should not even consider paying back the debt because it was fraudulently induced by Goldman back in 2000. So they have no obligation to pay the debt. Don't pay the debt. Germany is saying, wait a minute, what about our banks that had to be bailed out based on these faulty bonds?
How devastating was it that Iceland said no last month?
Iceland said no to the $5 billion ISAVE bill that the UK and the Netherlands wanted to try to extract from them based on the behavior of some, banking crooks, and they voted 93% said no. So the Icelandic people have taken a stand, and the Icelandic people, and now I talked to journalists in Greece, and the people in Greece are going to join with the people of Iceland. So this is becoming a global insurrection against banker occupation.
Okay, you just said it. Let me stop you. A global insurrection against banker occupation. So they're trying to sew it up now with a global government run by them to shut us down. And I've seen a year-long buildup to staged terror attacks, and the Fed's now hyping nuke attacks in the U.S. and trying to tie it into Iran and domestic groups. The only card I see them being able to play to launch new wars, Max, and to have a domestic clampdown is staged terror. What's your take on that?
Well, my stage is that this problem is happening all over the world in these other countries, and what we're seeing is this global insurrection against banking occupation. And through the internet and other means, people are getting together to figure out how to push back against the occupying force, the neo-colonial, neo-imperial force of these banking oligarchs on Wall Street and around the world. They're coming up with strategies to do that. And it's going to happen in pockets of resistance in countries and communities all over the world. This is not just an American problem. It's not just a UK problem or a Greek problem. This is happening for everyone in countries all over the world.
Have they overreached? Have they overreached? Because they look scared now. They're acting scared.
I think the problem they have is that for 25 years, every time they made a mistake, they would get bailed out by a rise in bond prices. As long as interest rates were cheap, they could always repackage, resell, and extend the maturity of the bonds that they were using to perpetrate all of their insidious little insider games. But now that that market has reached the end of a 25-year bull market, there is no more opportunity to repackage these bonds anymore, and they're collapsing, and it's causing what the economist calls a disruption in the cohesion index. They have identified what they call the cohesion index. That is the index to determine at what stage are different countries about to insurrect. The United States is relatively high. The UK is relatively high. But we have on the cohesion index, you've got countries like Iceland is already revolting, and other countries are already revolting. So The Economist magazine is already setting up an index around this revolt, this global insurrection, and they're already putting numbers attached to it. They're already, quantifying it.
Well, that's what the Ministry of British Defense, the British Defense Ministry said 3 years ago. They predicted this in and around 2010, 11, 12. We're going to be back for 5 minutes as we start the 4th hour with Max-Keiser. My question to him is, how does he see all this unwinding? I was talking to Max during the break about stage terror, because I see them prepping everybody for it. And he said, look, it's global. You've got to see the strategic system. They want financial takeover. Well, I see that going on simultaneously. Max, we got 4.5 minutes left. You've got the floor. Enlighten us. Give us your breakdown on what's happening.
Okay, Alex, as we were just saying, okay, we know what the game is. It's no big secret anymore. There's a group of bankers who are seeking to reinstate feudalism. They were upset that they had to give any of their power away during the rise of what's called the Enlightenment and the last 200 years. Now, your show reaches out to millions, and my comment to you is that you're spreading your bets too thin, and you are attacking back in a way that diffuses your greatest strength, which is this grassroots power force. And to that, what I say is you need a win in your column. You need to take a scalp here. You need to have a win. And the easiest thing that your listeners can do, that you and your listeners can do, is to take down a Fortune 100 company, take down a Dow Jones company, and the easiest company to take down, one who's got a huge investor in Warren Buffett, one who's known
is Coca-Cola. We go back to your obsession with Coca-Cola.
It's not an obsession. It's just a practical application of the only thing you have, which is a no-cost resistance.
Wait a minute. We've taken plenty of scalps, Max. I mean, look at the Copenhagen thing. We all did that together. Look at all the other victories we're having. Look at how we exposed Democratic operatives dressed up like Nazis at tea parties. I mean, what are you saying, take a scalp?
Well, I'm saying that the measure of wealth and income in America is getting wider and wider. The poorer are getting poorer, and the rich are getting richer. That's how I determine if the scalps are being taken and who's winning. And my suggestion is to marshal your forces and boycott Coca-Cola until that stock price goes to zero. You wipe out Coke. You punch Warren Buffett in the nose because he's one of the biggest shareholders of Coke. You demonstrate that you've got the power to take on a Fortune 100 company, and now suddenly you're in the driver's seat. You have to look at what's dear to these people. It's their stock price. They have no morals, no ethics. They've got no compunction about destroying themselves and their society and their country. They only care about their stock price. Therefore, the only way you can fight back is to take their stock price down. And the boycott is the cheapest, easiest, no-cost solution. And just look at the stock price. If it's going down, you're winning. And take it down to zero.
Okay, let me throw something in here. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and we're going on all fronts because that's most effective, in my opinion, is just to expose the fraud, and then the people will do the rest. But look at Washington. It's illegitimate. It's owned by foreign banks. We take the states back, then the offshore banks and brokerage firms won't have the federal government funding them with all our tax money. Yeah, but that's great if you run a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund and you have a seat at the table and you can have a big swinging, I don't want to say the word, but you don't. All you have are a lot of people who are angry, who have not the same amount of money, and who are being victimized by these consumer product predatory lending psychopaths. And you have to also be aware that a single metric, which is a stock price, can work both ways. Not only does it show how much money the bad guys are making, but it can also show how effective your campaign is against them. So when you go on the air every week and you say Coca-Cola stock price is down another 10% this week, we have won. It's right there in black and white in the pages of the Wall Street Journal. And before you know it, they're going to be coming to you, begging you to call off your forces. They're going to be coming to you, begging you. But won't the bankers then won't the plunge protection team just quietly buy Coca-Cola stock?
Anything that'll cost them money, and they hate to spend money. Because you're killing them where it hurts. They can buy the stock. They can increase the dividend. They can spend money on marketing. But they don't want to spend money. They want to take the money. They hate spending money. If they start spending money to buy back their own stock, you're winning.
All right, look, we're going to have you back up soon, and we'll spend 30 minutes of an hour on that. Max Keiser, maxkeiser.com. Thanks for spending time with us.
All right, buddy.